All right, welcome back to Confluence Patio here for All About the Beers, or Amongst the Barrels. That doesn't sound right. We're here with Kent Middendorf. Many of you probably remember he was our cellar foreman and brewer here for many years, 5, 6, something like that.
6 years. 6.5?
Yeah, 6.5, right.
Official.
That's right.
And yeah, I mean, you know, we're outside. Many of you may also know him better as Old Dirty Kent or Older Dirtier Kent. So
both.
He's here to join us, and he's not here to talk about either of those beers. So I guess introductions first. I'm Josh. I'm production manager here at Confluence, joined by Kent.
I'm Kent Middendorf. I worked,
School.
year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Year and a half ago I left, but it's been a glorious 6+ years here.
Kent was, I would go deliver beers early on. I'm John Martin, by the way, co-founder, head brewer.
The man who needs no introduction.
Thanks. I saw Kent one day on one of my deliveries. This was, I think, spring of 13, and he said, we should talk sometime about me coming to work for you. And so we did, and there he did. He was our first real hire as a cellar person. Greg was ready to hang up the boots, at that point. Yep. Kent was awesome over the years. He learned to brew. He did pretty much everything here. He could work on equipment really well, and so we've missed him, but we try to fill in the gaps where we can. But the bigger picture today is the tale of two wheats.
That's right. It's Wheat Week here. No one else is calling that. It's only my thing, but I think it's brilliant. So everyone go with it. It's Wheat Week. Come down for Wheat Week. And Kent's joining us because one of our 2 wheat beers is Weiss Grip Hefeweizen, and this is based on your old homebrew recipe.
That's right.
So I think we should probably open a beer or two.
Thank you.
And maybe you can tell us what you were shooting for when you were homebrewing it back in the day, if you remember.
Yeah, no, it's been a few years and a few beers ago. The honest goal when I started the recipe was to come up with something that John hadn't already brewed. Because it was a year or so into working here, and I said I wanted to have my own recipe. And John said, well, as long as you, come up with something that we can, something unique and so, we hadn't done any for sure. We had the Farmer John's, but you had no real, authentic German style Hefeweizen. So I guess I made that my target for getting onto the brew schedule.
Yeah.
So that's really how it
So
started.
the entry fee back then was to make it as a home brew and bring it in, and we try it. And,
Right.
Yeah, and then we brew it. So that worked out really well.
It's the origin story of this beer. It's the origin story of the quad, the Belgian quad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cool thing, so I love this story. The cool thing about this beer was that, so I brewed it once or twice, and I thought the first one was pretty good. The second one was pretty good, so we decided to go for it on the third one, and I bottled up a couple 750s, and it happened to be Des Moines, what do they call it?
Brewfest, yeah.
When they used to have it on the Court Avenue Bridge. So we smuggled it in my wife's purse and stuffed it in the ice in the Confluence tent. And no one's really paying attention to what we're doing. So we went and did the Brewfest for a while, and then at the end we were kind of standing around the Confluence tent just enjoying some beers after the event was over. And so I grabbed these 750s out of the ice and shared them with. We had one of our main investors was there.
John Watts.
John Watts was there.
Yeah.
And Ken and Greg and you, and so all the main people were all there under the tent, and I gave everybody a sample of my homebrew, and it happened to turn out really well that day. So also after drinking beer for 3 hours, so everyone was excited.
Sure.
But remember John Watts' sip and instant comment was, "Why aren't we brewing this?" I'm like, well, that was the goal, so we'll see.
Awesome. That's a good story.
This is the story.
Thanks for reminding me of it. There's so many stories out there. And it's such a simple beer. I mean, the grain bill is super simple. It's like wheat malt, Pils malt, and I think a little bit of Cara Munich 1 or something. But trying to get the proportions right on that wasn't too hard.
This is easily one of our weirdest beers at this point. Like they
Yeah.
kind of alluded that it's gone through several iterations. Essentially, the open fermented non-temperature control lets the yeast go to like its maximum volume, right, on ester production. So you get like a ton of banana, like pretty intense clove. It sort of dominates like most of the malt flavor. And then we have very rigorously temperature controlled closed fermentation on 2/3 of the batch. And that is much milder yeast production, much maltier beer. We did it kind of just as like an experiment to see what the open ferment was like. And then we blended them together and it was like, this is the perfect balance of malt and banana. Like it's too much this way and not enough this way, but when they're together, blended in together, it's beautiful. And so this is the third batch that we've done.
That's very German tradition, though, to make it real complicated.
Exactly. Yeah.
To make it much more complicated than it needed to be.
No. Yeah. I was kind of chuckling when John was like, "It's a really simple beer," and I'm like, "This is like we've done anything but make this beer simple.
Right.
The only thing that we stop short of is decocting, because that would complicate it further." But
It would. I think we could pull it off, but at this point, I'm not sure we need to do it on this beer.
And I always remember you saying Hacker Shore Orange was your goal. I
That
feel
was
like
the goal.
we're pretty
It's dark.
close.
It's pretty
Yeah.
close. It
I-
might be
I-
just a tiny bit more towards straw, you know?
Yeah.
What a
But-
beautiful beer on a beautiful day.
Looks
Kent,
nice in the
thank
sun.
you
Oh,
for
cheers.
that beer.
Yep.
Prost.
Cheers.
Prost.
Cheers.
Prost to you. Be sure to check us out on all the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter. We're on YouTube, Instagram. If you like this, please share it. Let people know about it. We're trying to push and get a few more views up there on the YouTube channel. So,
Mom,
all
tell
right.
your knitting circle.
That's right. All right. Prost.